Hi, and welcome back to Lisa's Stamp Studio. I've got a fun fold card for you today that I'm calling a triangle gatefold. I'm going to be using the stamp set called On to Adventure. And although this card particularly has a retirement theme, make sure you stick with me because I've got another card using this exact same stamp set with a Christmas theme. And while that seems very unlikely with the stamp set, I think you're going to love what I've done with it. Here's a quick look at that fun fold we're going to be creating together. And of course, I'm going to give you lots of tips to make it easy for you to replicate at home. Here's a good close-up of that fun fold card. The way this works is the belly band is going to come off, and then it's going to reveal these two triangle patterns, which opens up the greeting to the inside. I've cut 2 mint macaron cardstock squares that each measure 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. We are actually going to score these on the diagonal to make the triangle flaps for the card. I've got my Stampin' trimmer here. My dark blade I've navigated up out of the way, and I've got the light blade here, which is for scoring. So I'm going to open up my cutting track, and right down here in the black section, I am going to align the top tip and the bottom tip so that they'll land right inside of there. And then I'll go ahead and close that hinge, and then we'll score. We're going to do the exact same thing now on this other piece, aligning those two tips carefully because you want that to be right down the middle. This is a piece of very vanilla cardstock. This measures 3 7/8 by 7 3/4. I have configured this card so that it will fit in a medium envelope. You're going to find all the cutting dimensions down in the link of the video description below. Just click the words show more so that you can expand the text and find that link. I'm going to fold this in half, and I'm going to use my bone folder for that nice crisp edge. I've then cut a piece of Designer Series paper. This comes from the Mosaic Mood Designer Series paper pack. It's a specialty pack of paper, and I'm not sure if you can see this or not, but it looks a lot and feels like tile. So there are some raised and glossy areas here. Like most of the Stampin' Up! Designer papers, they are double-sided, giving you lots of options. I've cut the designer paper so that it will fit exactly over the entire front of this card. So I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to add adhesive generously along the outside edge since I'm covering the entire card front. I'm going to open up the card base here on my silicone craft sheet to make it easier for me to see. And I'm going to make sure that my fold is well aligned with the designer paper, aligning up the sides and the bottom the very best I can, and I'll press that in place. Remember the two triangle patterns? We're going to go ahead and fold on those score lines, and you're going to want to reinforce those with your bone folder. You want to make sure you've got really good crisp lines for this. I'm going to be using my silicone craft sheet once again. Liquid glue, hot glue, and adhesive will not stick to it, which makes it a great accompaniment in your stamp room because you don't have to worry about your work surface becoming sticky. I'd like to get my glue started here on my silicone craft sheet just to make sure that it's flowing well. When this dries, it will turn opaque and I can simply rub it right off. I'm going to add glue here inside the triangle along the perimeter. Keep in mind that this is going to ooze a little bit as you press, so you don't have to add too much. Then what I'm going to do here with my card, the fold is at the top, I am going to align this here on the side. Now you want this nice and snug. The great thing about using the liquid glue is it allows you a little bit of wiggle room so you can move up and down. Now I'm going to turn that face down, and I'm going to rub to secure that in place. And I'm going to give that just under a minute to dry. It dries very quickly and it is very strong. I'm going to come now to the other triangle, and I'm going to do the exact same thing by applying glue inside of here. And I'm going to come up now on the other side and repeat the same thing. Again, because of the liquid glue, you're able to wiggle this to get these aligned and make sure it's in nice and snug. And then I'm going to flip from the back, and then I'm going to crease. I'm going to push that off to the side, and I've got a thick piece of very vanilla cardstock here, and I'm going to stamp my image. I'm going to use my Memento ink pad because I'm going to be using alcohol-based Stampin' Blends marker. Take a look at that adorable image. It's from the stamp set called On to Adventure. Aren't these whimsical faces fun? You're going to find a multitude of greetings for different occasions, which makes this quite versatile. You're going to be able to find this product in the current Stampin' Up! Annual catalog. If you don't already have a demonstrator and you would like a complimentary copy of the current annual catalog and or the holiday catalog, head over to lisasstampstudio.com and click on Contact Me. I'm going to ink that image up, and I'm going to stamp that here. Now I have an image already finished for you, but I do want to go over the use of the Stampin' Blends alcohol markers for those of you that this product is new to. I will review all the colors with you so that you're familiar with what I've used, but I'm going to be using the pumpkin pie combo here for his shirt. Now there's a light and a dark, and you can purchase them separately or you can purchase them in a combo. The tips are designated here by the line underneath the cap, so there's a thin and a thicker tip. It doesn't matter whether you use the light or the dark shade first, it's just a matter of preference. I also love to use these markers individually just as markers. The color and the coverage are flawless. Since this is a very detailed area, I'm going to go ahead and use the chiseled or the fine tip side, and I'm going to color in just his shirt. I've omitted the areas here for the leaves on his patterned shirt because I'll go ahead and fill those in with another color. I'm going to come down to the same chiseled tip, and I'm going to add some detail to this to create some depth or some shading to this project. Oftentimes, the artist's rendering of the stamp provides you with some cheat marks, as I like to call it. So you can see that it's darker here on this side. So I'm going to add on some color here, and then I'm going to work it a little bit across the bottom and a little bit here around his neck and then on this side. How much you put is completely up to you. There are really no right or wrong ways to doing this. The alcohol from this color is going to need a few moments for it to evaporate before you continue blending. Otherwise, what's going to happen is it's going to want to spread too quickly and it can blur your image. Let it sit for about 15 seconds and then you're ready to go back to the light color, and this is where the magic happens. I'm going to come inside here, and what I'm doing is I'm blending the light and the dark together because what I want to eliminate are those harsh lines here where the two colors are separated. Just like before, it's going to take a few moments for this to evaporate, become more of its true tone. And if you decide you want more color or more blending, you can go back over it again. Now let me talk you through the other colors that I used. I used the dark mint macaron, which matches our designer series paper and cardstock, for the brim inside his hat and the leaves on his shirt and the grassy area. I used the ivory for his flesh, the bronze for the strap on his camera, the crumb cake combo for his hat and his shorts, and finally, the smoky slate combo for his hair and eyebrows. I also used the dark smoky slate for inside his glasses and for the camera area. Once it was all finished, I went ahead and I used the 2 1/4 inch circle punch and I punched out my image, which left me with this. You're going to notice too that I was careful to punch it, so I left some area here at the bottom for my greeting. I wanted to back this with a layer of color, so I used the coordinating garden green cardstock to that designer series paper. The color coordination with Stampin' Up! Is one of my very favorite things. I went ahead and I pulled out the die that I wanted to use that was slightly bigger than this punch. I used that from the layering circles dies. I absolutely love these because of the graduated sizes. Not only do you get these sizes, but you also get the scallop in graduated sizes as well. This product will be found in the annual catalog. I'm going to come back here to my silicone craft sheet, and I'm going to add adhesive to the back side. You see the bleeding through the cardstock? That indicates a really good alcohol marker, which is another reason why you want to use very good cardstock. The thick Very Vanilla or the thick Whisper White cardstock are what I always use when I'm using my alcohol-based markers. The better cardstock is going to allow you to blend easily, and you're going to get a better, rich color finish. I've got a scrap piece here of Very Vanilla cardstock, and I'm going to go back to my Memento ink pad, and this time I'm going to stamp the greeting for the outside of my card. And from that same stamp set, I chose Happy Retirement, and that's going to get stamped here. While I've got my ink pad out, I'm going to come back here to the card base, and I'm going to stamp my greeting for the inside of the card. This also comes from the same stamp set. It reads, "Congratulations on your next adventure." I decided I wanted to border my greeting, so I cut another small piece of garden green cardstock, again coordinating with the whole card. And then all I'm going to do is create a layer for this, so this will stand out a little bit better when I go to adhere this to my card front. Remember our card with the triangle flaps? Now we're ready to adhere this actually to the card base. So I'm going to flip that over once again, and I'm going to add adhesive very generously to the outside parameter of this. Liquid glue will work as well. This piece has been cut 4 1/8 inch square. And then all I'm doing is looking to center this the very best that I can. I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to rub from the back so I can make sure that the adhesive is good and stuck. The next step is to add the belly band. I want to hold these flaps closed to make it easier for me to wrap. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a Post-it note tab here to hold these down in place. A Post-it note will work as well, or you can add a small paper clip to here to hold that down. I've cut a piece of vellum cardstock. This measures 1 1/4 inch by 9 1/4. I prefer not to score this. I find this a lot easier just to wrap. You don't want to wrap tightly, so I'm going to come around the sides and I'm going to be really generous on this side and leave a little bit of a gap. The worst thing is to be able to struggle getting this on and off. Once I have it where I want it, I'm going to go ahead and crease those sides, and then I'm going to remove it. I'll come back over here to my silicone craft sheet and I'll open up one of those flaps, and I'm going to add 2 layers of adhesive here. I'm going to go ahead and remove my Post-it note, and I'm going to wrap my belly band around the card. Now please make sure that your fold is at the top. I'm going to place the left side down first because my adhesive is on the right side. And again, I'm not going to push very, very hard. I want to leave a little bit of give there, and then I'll tack that in place. I'm going to slide that off to the side for just a moment, and let's go ahead and add our greeting here to our image. I'm going to flip that over, and I'm going to pull off a couple dimensionals, and I'm going to add those here towards the center of my image, and I'll remove those paper backings. I've chosen to add this here near the bottom where his feet are. And now we're ready to add this to the front of the belly band, which is what we're calling this piece of vellum because it slides on and off. Now I want to give you an important tip about this. It's very important that your dimensionals fall here on the belly band or your adhesive, depending on what you're choosing to use, and not here or here. Otherwise it's going to impede on this sliding. So the best advice I have for you is to actually place them on the belly band. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull off 4 of these and just ready them. And I'm looking just to get an idea of the circumference on either side. So I'm going to place 1 here and 1 here. Outside those points, I'm going to place 1 here at the top and 1 here at the bottom. Now, the reason I'm being very generous is I'm cognizant that I'm going to be mailing this. And I know the postage machine at the post office can do a real number on my card, so I want it well balanced. I'm going to be using my Take Your Pick pickup tool. I've got the paper piercing tool attachment here, and I absolutely love this when I've got several dimensionals. Not only will it remove the paper backings very quickly, it helps corral them. And then my spotlight image will go right here on the top. Now you'll remember that I shared with you that I also have a card using a Christmas theme with this exact same stamp set. So let me share that with you. And here it is. Isn't this adorable? Now, you know, when I first looked at the stamp set, I thought, well, how can I turn this into a Christmas card? Or in fact, any other card? Because obviously the stamp set is very versatile as it is. But this being a holiday time of year, I wanted to know if I could expound on that. And I certainly was able to. I used this image here, which reminds me of a Zen image. And I decided to give her, with a fine tip journaling marker, a little bit of string. And I added some star embellishments and added a Christmas greeting from the Itty Bitty Christmas stamp set. This of course slides off just like the other card, and then you're able to open up the triangle folds, and then the greeting is inside, and this greeting is from that exact same stamp set. Whether you're wanting to create a Christmas or all occasion type card, look no further than the On to Adventure stamp set. With a little bit of imagination, you can create an endless amount of occasion cards. This fun fold is quite contagious and really, really easy. If you have enjoyed today's video, please give it a thumbs up here on YouTube, which is a like. It certainly helps. And I thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great day.